Key 3. The Empress. Daleth, D, value 4, originally signified the leaf of a door, that which admits or bars. But it also symbolizes that through which something passes. On this account, some writers say Daleth represents the womb as the door of life. The door itself, then, suggests defense, protection, preservation, safekeeping, conservation, and related ideas. This is a clue to the mode of consciousness represented by Daleth. We shall find that this mode of consciousness has to do with personal safety, with self-preservation, with defense against trouble and disease, and with the storage, conservation, and development of all that is useful to us. The idea of passage suggested by the doorway brings to mind both ingress and egress, motion into and motion out from. It also suggests transmission, diffusion, dissemination, separation, as when one thinks of a door as the means of leaving a house, and so division, apportionment, partition, administration. All these ideas are definitely connected with the mode of consciousness represented by Daleth. Observe also how the principle of antithesis already mentioned applies to the sequence of Hebrew letters, as well as to the tarot keys. Aleph is a soft, open-breathing, barely vocalized, and the letter name is associated with the nomadic life of herdsmen, following their cattle wherever pasture is good. By contrast, Beth, the house, implies a certain definiteness and fixity of location, and the sound of B is a sharply vocalized consonant, expelling the breath through the pursed lips. Gimel, the third letter of the alphabet, is guttural in its hard pronunciation and dental in its soft utterance. The camel, moreover, is in contrast to Beth, the house, because of the ideas of commerce, travel, and communication with distant places. Now, when we consider Daleth, the door, we are brought back to the house again, so that the letter has in it somewhat of the root significance of Beth. Yet it also partakes in a measure of ideas suggested by Gimel, since both departure and return are suggested by a doorway. Venus is the planetary attribution to Daleth. She corresponds to the cow-headed Egyptian goddess Hathor, whose name in some old Latin manuscripts is occasionally spelt A-T-O-R, Ator. Venus presides over childbirth, is a mother goddess, and patroness of love, beauty, and art. Astrologers say Venus rules the sense of touch, and has much influence on the disposition, especially on the desire nature. In our color scale, Venus is green, corresponding to the tone F sharp or G flat. Wisdom and folly are assigned by Kabbalists to Daleth. The mode of consciousness assigned to Daleth is subconsciousness, and subconscious response to self-conscious interpretation and suggestion determines whether our ideas, mental offspring, are wise or foolish. The occult meanings of Daleth indicate clearly that this letter corresponds to subconsciousness. The letter has no power of inductive reasoning, but its power of deduction is practically perfect. Now, the very word deduction means leading away from, and deductive reasoning is separative because it splits up an original premise into an indefinite number of particular consequences or applications. Whether the conclusion so reached shall be wise or foolish depends entirely on the soundness of the initial premise. The latter is formulated by self-conscious observation and inductive reasoning. If the premise be accurate and profound, The subconscious subdivisions and elaborations of the initial seed thought will be on the side of wisdom. If the premise be inexact and superficial, the subconscious developments will be on the side of folly. East, the direction assigned to Daleth, is the doorway through which the sun enters the world at the beginning of a day. It is the place of the birth of light. Similarly, subconsciousness is the womb of those ideas which enlighten the world. In Hebrew, the noun for east is Ar, pronounced our, AVR. And the word for light has the same spelling and practically the same pronunciation. Luminous intelligence, the Kabbalistic name for the phase of consciousness represented by Daleth, requires little explanation. Subconsciousness enlightens us by its deductions from our observations and from our inductive reasoning. These deductions are not only illuminating, but they also make for our safety, self-preservation, and general welfare. Again, they enable us to share in the administration of our environment, assure us of our just portion of all good things, and enable us to find a way out of the limitations and bondage which imprison the unenlightened in cages built by their own ignorance and misunderstanding. Key 3's title, the Empress, means literally, she who sets in order. She is the feminine ruling power. She is also the consort of the Emperor, whose picture adorns Key 4 of the Tarot series. Her name contrasts with the High Priestess, which indicates the cold virginity of a cloistered devotee of the gods. In like manner, mythology contrasts the warm mother goddess Venus with Diana, the virgin goddess of the moon. The scene harks back to some of the symbolism of Key 1, for it is a rich, fertile garden. In the background are cypress trees, sacred to Venus. Ripening wheat in the foreground is sacred to Isis Hathor, as well as to Ceres, another mother goddess. For this picture, primarily representing Venus or Hathor, corresponds also to other representations of Mother Nature. The stream and pool in the background represent the stream of consciousness. Their source is the flowing robe of the High Priestess. The symbol of water falling into a pool is also a subtle intimation of the union of male and female modes of cosmic energy. For the stream is modified and directed by the magician, and the pool represents the accumulation of influences descending from the self-conscious level. This stream waters the garden and makes it fertile. The Empress is a matronly figure, about to become a mother. Her yellow hair is bound by a green wreath of myrtle. Like the hair of the Fool, hers symbolizes radiant energy, and her wreath has the same general meaning as that around the head of the Fool. Myrtle, moreover, is a plant sacred to Venus. The idea here conveyed is that the growth and organization of the plant world is the work of cosmic energy operating at the subconscious levels. Thus, people who know how to reach the subconsciousness in plants can do almost anything with them. Luther Burbank's work was an outstanding example. What is more, growing plants respond to curses and to blessings, and those who succeed best in growing flowers are lovers of the plants they care for. Like the woman in the Apocalypse, Revelation 12:1, the Empress wears a crown of 12 stars, and has a crescent moon under her feet. The stars are six-pointed, or hexagrams, to show that she has dominion over the laws of the macrocosm, or great world. This crown of 12 stars, like the Fool's girdle, also symbolizes the zodiac, the year, and time. The silver lunar crescent under the Empress's feet indicates the fact that the subconscious activities she symbolizes have their basis in the primary powers of subconsciousness, which tarot pictures in the High Priestess. Actually, There is no fundamental difference between the latter and the Empress, but the High Priestess symbolizes the virgin state of the cosmic subconsciousness, as it is in itself, whereas the Empress typifies the productive, generating activities of the same subconsciousness after it has been impregnated by seed ideas originating at the self-conscious level, represented by the magician. Besides the cypress trees, the myrtle, and the wheat ears, the 7 pearls around the Empress's neck are Venusian. So is the green color of her robe. In the rider pack, the robe is white, ornamented with a floral design in which the units are astrological symbols of Venus. Again, she bears a heart-shaped shield on which is displayed a dove, sacred to Venus, and symbol also of the Holy Spirit. The rider pack shows a shield emblazoned with the conventional astrological symbol of Venus, and the circular part of the symbol is the Venusian green. This heart-shaped shield is of copper, the metal of Venus. Heart, in practical occultism, means subconsciousness. According to Dr. Waite, the scepter which she bears is surmounted by the globe of this world. Thus, it implies dominance over the conditions of the physical plane. In our version, she carries the scepter in her left hand, and the globe is surmounted by a cross, so that the ornament on the head of the scepter is actually an inverted Venus symbol. Psychologically, the Empress represents subconsciousness as the mother of ideas, the generatrix of mental images. The power by which she works is the power of subdividing seed ideas derived from self-consciousness. This is the power of deductive reasoning. The apparent multiplication of images is really the splitting up of the seed ideas into manifold presentations. This is symbolized by the multiplication of the original seed in the wheat ears at her feet. She is called the Empress because subconsciousness has control over all sequences of development in the material world. Occult science declares that this control extends even to the mineral kingdom, so that adepts in the direction of subconsciousness by suggestion are able to effect transformations even in the inorganic world by purely mental means. The particular mental function peculiar to subconsciousness is imagination, based on memory.